Section 1.3 are the changes to the PMBOK guide. So it's really a big shift from what we've seen in past editions. Some folks aren't in love with it, others love it. It's just different. I'm not going to say it's better or worse. It's just different. It's a different way of thinking about project management. That our focus now is on delivering outcomes. There's a real shift away from the 49 project management processes and the knowledge areas to really talking about performance domains. It's a bit more aspirational. So we don't have the inputs, tools, and techniques that we've seen in past editions. Now what we have are more about the performance domains. Tailoring in Section 3 is a big component that we'll look at in this course and in the PMBOK guide. And the idea is to have a full spectrum approach to project management. And what I mean by that is we talk both about agile and predictive. So we know agile or adaptive, where we have iterative and incremental. Think about Scrum, XP, Lean, even Crystal, as opposed to in a predictive or waterfall environment where we're plan-driven, that you might have more in a construction-based environment, where an agile environment we might have more in knowledge work like software development. So we'll talk about both of those throughout the course. That's the full spectrum of project management. Where, to be clear, in past editions, especially like PMBOK Guide 5 and previous, it was very plan-driven, it was very predictive. It wasn't until 6 that we really began to embrace the idea of agile. And of course, here in 7, it's full-blown on. We talk a lot about agile. Our focus, as in any project, is on delivery outcomes, that we want to create business value. Business value is, why are we doing this project? What's the opportunity that we're trying to seize? What's the problem that we're trying to solve? Are we increasing revenue or reducing cost? So regardless of the approach, agile or predictive, this is a mindset that we have, is our focus is on delivery. So as a project manager, you have to understand the business value, what we're trying to create, and then how do we deliver the project? How do we get to that desired future state? So our focus is on delivery value. As I mentioned, this is different from the EDOs that we have seen in past editions: inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs. EDOs were all part of the individual processes. So planning risk responses, our quality management approach, dealing with stakeholder engagement. So we might have identify stakeholders, and we had a set of inputs, the tools and techniques to do that, and then what are the things that are created. What we have now are more the models, methods, and artifacts. So a little bit of a shift there in the landscape. Our project performance domains, as I've mentioned a couple of times, and that we really focus on in Section 2, are groups of related activities, which you might call processes, but that's an editorial, that are critical for project outcomes. And there are 8 of these domains that we'll look at. Tailoring is a deliberate adaptation of project management. So we're talking about our approach, the governance or the framework, and the processes that we use within that specific approach to project management. It's driven by project management principles, the generally accepted practices of project management, our organizational values, and culture. So that's, kind of a quick summation there, but let's unpack that a little bit. Values and culture. All right, so imagine a large, stuffy bank, very formal, very risk averse financially. They are going to have some very specific rules and regulations on how projects operate in a bank environment. Now, if we go to a small startup that's creating game software, it's a whole different organizational structure. It's a whole different culture. So you can imagine if you were a project manager in either of those environments, how your approach to project management may change. The goal is still the same, to deliver business value, but the approach in a bank environment is going to be totally different than the approach that we might have in a software development where we're making games for a PC or your Xbox or whatever. The full spectrum consideration here in the PMBOK guide is just the acknowledgement that no single document can address every tool, technique, and practice, that our focus is on the generally accepted practices. So we are only looking at the commonly used models, methods, and artifacts that most project managers are working with or they're going to encounter in their career. So that's just a kind of a big picture of where we're going in the PMBOK Guide 7 and where we're going in this course. Keep moving forward.